How's everyone doing today?
Phenomenal.
Excellent.
Devconnect, baby. It's been a great couple of days already. And yeah, we're excited to dive into an area of crypto that really has, I think, transcended the industry and created a ton of opportunities and opened the door for traditional industries to get into crypto. And today we're going to dive right in. But first, let's start with some introductions on this side. Name, position, company, and what you guys do.
Hey everyone, my name is Matt. I'm a part of the Avalabs business development team. Avalabs is the servicing firm behind the Avalanche blockchain network. I've been around for almost 4 years now. Originally joined to primarily be focused on DeFi, but now I'm more so a growth generalist. But it's nice having everyone here today.
GM, everybody. My name is Brandon. I am the community growth manager at Stacks Labs, contributor to Stacks for multiple years. And Stacks is a Bitcoin layer. It's a leading Bitcoin layer. We have more Bitcoin bridged in than even Lightning or other layers. So yeah, very excited to be here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Fran. I'm the head of business development for Bifi, and Bifi is a yield optimizer. We are present on more than 23 different blockchains, and we have more than 2,000 different investing opportunities where you can put your tokens to work and get paid in the same token that you deposited.
Hi, my name is Aditya, Adi. I'm from Pith Network. I'm a developer relations engineer. And since you guys were there before this, we are the pricing layer. And that's it. We provide price or market data. Better, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So to start off, each of you guys sort of represent a different layer in the DeFi stack. The first question that we have is how is your work pushing forward DeFi as a connected system versus an isolated system?
Yeah, so this is a great question. From the very beginning, Avalanche was planning to scale primarily horizontally via application-specific blockchains. Those were once called subnets that are now since rebranded to Avalanche L1s. So with that, we not only have native interoperability using Avalanche interchain messaging, but also kind of cross-ecosystem interoperability via Wormhole, Layer 0, variety of other kind of bridging and interop providers. But in my opinion, there's not enough liquidity to go around yet. And so, agentic payments, X402s, intents, etc. It's really what we need within DeFi to continue to grow, as well as help out retail in terms of different stacks and layers.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll get deeper into that.
So Stacks is a Bitcoin layer, and I think there's sort of one universal desire that all Bitcoiners have, and it's to have more Bitcoin. Stacks has been around for a while, started back in 2021, and since its inception, it's awarded over 3,700 BTC to Stacks holders. Just last month, we announced this new feature called dual stacking, where people can bridge in their Stacks tokens and actually earn a yield on those as well. So it's sort of aligning incentives between the Bitcoiners who want more Bitcoin, and they're receiving those rewards in Bitcoin, and existing Stacks users. So it's a very powerful feature that we're really excited about.
Awesome.
Cool. So Bifi is a protocol that builds on top of other different protocols, right? So we are constantly monitoring how others are building around interoperability. For example, we have seen some great developments for USDC. We're now having USDC on Base, on Arbitrum, on Ethereum is basically the same thing. So USDC already provides quite like an interoperability experience, but sadly that is not the case for all of the tokens. We can make several examples, but what we are seeing is that in the 5 years that Bifi has been live, we have seen the interoperability grow slowly but steadily, and I think in a couple of years more, we'll have a much better picture where users may not even know which chain they are really using, but I think we are not there yet.
Awesome.
You have a very dynamic panel here, like two chains. A chain, I'll call Stacks a chain, sorry. and a protocol. So, and we are from infra team. So we provide data. So either any dApp that is building on Avalanche, Stacks, and 100 other chains, we give data. And Beefy, any protocol, either aggregator, walls or something, they all need data. So I don't say we are a crypto company out there. We are an infrastructure company who gives data on chain and off chain. So that's how we help in this space.
Awesome, awesome. So we mentioned lightly in there certain issues that are happening with DeFi, whether it's around cross-chain liquidity, data, execution, it's still breaking at the edges. So the question to the panel is like, what are the biggest coordination gaps in multi-chain DeFi today? How are you closing them both at the system level, unifying liquidity and the user experience across the chains?
This could be the same. Some like it could be. I could be very edgy on this case, being very honest, but I believe that we are working too much on the infra side, and all the different chains are like mini worlds out there. So that's the biggest issue. Like if I'm a user and I'm just switching chains here and there, oh, this protocol is there, I should go there. We are not fixing the meta problem. We are we're building worlds in our own silo, and we think we are the best, and everybody would come here rather than and building like mini bridges between them. So that is the big issue. I think I deviated from question. No, that was the question. What are the
That was
biggest
the
issue that
question.
I feel? So that's where we focus on more on infra, that we should provide consistent data experience on to everyone, and that's the issue I think we should solve first.
Awesome.
Cool. I just want to add something briefly. I think that this issue will be solved mostly by the market because we have too many different blockchains right now, and some of them have great TVL and some of them are very low. So naturally, some of them will disappear. The volume, everything will concentrate into the more used chains, and developing solutions for those bigger chains is easier than building a solution that's compatible for 60 different EVM blockchains. I think one great example of this is the OP rollup, where they have the super bridge, which is connecting all of the OP chains.
Yeah, I think you mentioned liquidity, and that's like certainly something that Stacks has been really kind of dealing with head on or taking care of head on. Last year we launched SBTC, which is the one-to-one bridge, so you can bring your Bitcoin into Stacks and out of Stacks very easily. And actually, just this morning we announced a partnership with Circle, where you can bring USDC into Stacks through their new X Reserve product. So liquidity, in that sense, the infrastructure is very important, right? You need those base foundational things like stablecoins and being able to bring in your Bitcoin. But beyond that, I think it's very important to focus on really good, really strong UX for the user's perspective. So yeah, that these experiences are like enjoyable and they're not just like bouncing from chain to chain, and you have a very solid, sticky US experience.
Great.
Yeah, so I just wanted to echo what Aditya said in terms of I think it's still a rather fragmented experience in a lot of ways. There are teams like LeFi that are bridge as well as DEX aggregators that kind of simplify this for users, but I think at the end of the day, retail potentially doesn't even know what something like a LeFi is, and therefore, like, they shouldn't have to worry about that. They should just be able to say, "Oh, I want to use this application." It shouldn't matter what chain it's on. They should just, have funding in their wallet, and that's all that matters, and the rest is taken care of for them. And so I think we're still working towards that goal. A lot of teams are, building out, whether it be like a hub and spoke model where they use, one ecosystem kind of as an aggregation or accounting layer, and then they connect to many other ecosystems to help aid that experience. But yeah, I think for the most part, it's still a relatively bad user journey and experience, and it's something that hopefully can improve in the not so distant future.
Hopefully, yeah. I think we are making headways in those areas. Our next question kind of goes a little bit in a different direction, more on the system side. Reliability and speed mattering most when markets are moving fast. How are you guys dressing your systems to perform under stress?
Yeah, so I think as a blockchain network, I mean, it's always about 100% uptime, and then hopefully gas fees are not too expensive to the point where it's prohibitive to users in terms of like rescuing a position on like a perps exchange or a borrowing and lending protocol if their health factor is too low. So I think that's like really something that we strive towards having, is like basically never going down, and gas fees that are low enough where it's not prohibitively expensive. And those are like kind of the two biggest things, just because our time to finality is already relatively low. I actually had a question kind of piggybacking off this one for Pith. Um, with the Elixir and Stream situation of the past couple weeks, how have you guys thought about kind of changing around Pith in relation to not just being, focused on something like price feeds, but also feeds for like liquidity to trigger liquidations in terms of like if a certain liquidity threshold is breached? That's almost like a risk oracle in some ways, but I think that's what we found, with teams like Stream and Elixir. Although technically the asset wasn't depegged, they weren't, orderly processing redemptions for those assets, and so people can then liquidate them on a variety of borrowing and lending platforms. Although it didn't really depeg until the very end, unfortunately. But how are you guys thinking about that as well in terms of new parameters for your oracles?
So, sorry, if can I take that?
Yeah, go
So
for it.
we thought about adding more data points here, but this, like as compared to other oracles, they provide a lot of data. Like if you want to like move into weather, sports data, any different format of data. But we saw there's a big gap in price data fragmentation, and we wanted to focus on one thing, that we want to provide like only on prices right now. We do have equity feeds, we do have redemption rates and everything, um, but there are not a lot of protocols who are really using them. So that's why we also focus on off-chain users out there. It's like our architecture was built for prices. We can change it, but we see a big market gap. We don't want the oracle out there to have everything and do it half-heartedly. One thing, focus on that, be best in that, and then we can do side quest. That's our goal for now. We get a lot of requests. Some weird requests that we got, like, can you give us CSGO skin prices? Yes. So weather data, like all the weird requests. This is not weird, no doubt, but that's not a goal for now. Sorry, go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, just maybe to you two, just about how your teams are addressing, when the systems are under stress. How are you preventing impact to users or clients?
Cool.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So just briefly, like I said in the beginning, Bifi has been around for more than 5 years. So we have seen how things can fail in many different ways. So one thing is experience. The other one is we are trying to work with the best service providers. For example, we don't use hosts like GoDaddy or stuff like that. Which that has been an issue for different protocols before. And also, I think it's very important to have internal dashboards monitoring all of the things that can go wrong. So it's a mix of those things, having great service providers and also good information, right?
Awesome.
I'll say, with Stacks, the benefit of Bitcoin is that is, the most decentralized chain, right? It's the most secure. So anchoring yourself to a chain like Bitcoin gives you a lot of that security. Stacks settles back to Bitcoin with every new Bitcoin block. So as soon as you get that new Bitcoin block, you have 100% Bitcoin finality. We've seen, just a few weeks ago, there was like a major AWS outage, and we saw like some blockchains go down as a result of that, which, to me, like that, like in terms of looking at like Bitcoin's security and Bitcoin's strength, I'm really glad that we're building on Bitcoin and we don't have to worry as much about issues like that. Stacks stayed online, so happy to see it.
Awesome.
One thing that I wanted to add, I think it's also, as we embark more on the journey of like RWAs, proof of reserves, especially for off-chain
100%.
assets, is something that we're going to need to really focus on, as like, especially if it's an off-chain asset in which the balance sheet of that asset is like centrally controlled by the entity that then minted the on-chain asset. And so I think we just need to be very careful in terms of ensuring the backing of the assets are always fully backed.
Agree. Yeah, agree. I hope we don't like come back to this in like a year being like, we needed that today. Our next question is like around how data and yield are deeply connected, pricing and farming rewards, and rewards attracting liquidity. How are you guys each in your own way building sustainable yield systems that rely on transparent and verifiable data?
We are not working into that. We're just like, yes, if you want, the only way we contribute is
Yeah.
you can trust us. That's what we want to build. And trust cannot be built like, hey, trust us. No, we have to be transparent here. One thing is that we don't use any aggregators. That's
Okay.
one of the principles that we have. No CoinGecko, no CoinMarketCap. Like, those are fine for, like, for everyone, but not if you want to trade. So we have first party data publishers, like we have Sexes, Dexes, market makers. We take data from that, we aggregate it. There's no single source of truth for price data. Nobody can tell me what's the exact price of Bitcoin right now. It's aggregated from different exchanges.
For sure.
So we do that. It's all transparent, permissionless. Anybody can see every data publisher data which is coming to our system, confidence interval, and we aggregate it. And that's how we build trust. And that's how it's being consumed by most of the protocols out there.
Awesome. I'll keep going this way.
I just want to touch on, I mentioned this kind of at the beginning, but Stacks has a very unique consensus mechanism that's called proof of transfer, where literally Stacks miners are bidding BTC and Stacks users who are stacking their STX tokens are receiving the BTC that is being bid by the miners. So if you are stacking, you are literally receiving Bitcoin, and that's just part of the consensus mechanism that's been operating for years. So as we're seeing, especially now, this new wave of Bitcoin treasury companies and Bitcoin yield is just this really trending topic right now, that are looking for these kind of sustainable ways to earn yield that are very long term. Stacks, I think, has like the ultimate track record with that through its consensus mechanism called proof of transfer.
Cool.
So for Bifi, this is a bit of a short answer, but basically all of the token balances and transfer stuff like that, it's on the contracts, it's managed by the blockchains, right? And when we have to add some dollar value or value over time, we do it mixing that information with pricing from CoinGecko or like Pyth or some kind of oracle.
Yeah.
But we do that because it's just for display, right? What's really true is what's on the contracts, what the blockchain says. And when we are displaying some number, it's fine if you have 1 cent off or 1 cent off, more or less. But that's not the case in the blockchain or in the contracts, where 1 decimal can get the whole protocol drained, right? So there's just 2 parts: the what's on the blockchain, which is the truth, and we try to digest that information, adding some pricing data and put that in our UI.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, this always goes back to like the main question since DeFi summer is like, where's the yield coming from? Are you the yield? That sort of thing. And if you don't have a great answer as to where the yield is coming from, it's probably not sustainable in nature. And so, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious these days about where yield usually comes from within DeFi, whether it be like liquidations, the cash carry trade, swap fee, simple interest rates, that sort of thing. And there should be relatively simple explanations for those. I think a lot of the time people, have airdrop, points farming programs, unreleased tokens, etc. When in reality, those programs might only last 2 weeks, a month, and the yield is not very sustainable. And so a provider like DeFi Llama, for instance, shows the historical yield as well. And I think that's very important to verify, like, hey, this is a strategy or something that's been able to produce these results or yields over a longer duration than just a couple days. And so for us, that's like when we're working with various DeFi projects within our ecosystem, as well as like tokenization and RWA projects, that's generally like our number one answer is like, where's this yield coming from? I think there's a bit of a bubble in like private credit, for instance. And you need to really like look deeper than just like, oh, this is 10% yield from XYZ companies or something like that. So
Awesome. Yeah, great answer. So, where we're going next is institutions and enterprises. They're flocking on chain right now. How are each of your organizations planning or thinking about institutions and enterprise? And if you don't have it on your roadmap, why not?
yeah, so Avalabs and Avalanche more holistically is very involved within institutions. I think last cycle we kind of used institutions to talk primarily about crypto native like market makers, yield funds, large VCs, etc. When those weren't like real institutions. So the real
Mhm.
institutions are those within TradFi, whether it be fintech platforms, traditional brokerages, bulge bracket banks, etc. And I think that's what we've realized is like you still have to appeal to those crypto native institutions, but also you need to move the space forward, working with more traditional institutions in terms of proof of concepts, MVP, and kind of
Mhm.
other use cases to show like, hey, blockchains are not just for speculation, but they can improve operational efficiencies, bring new revenue on chain, that sort of thing. And so I think it's been a big focus of ours. I mean, we've worked with a variety of tokenization partners like BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Wellington. Securitize helps with a lot of these relationships. And I think it's
Mhm.
really just about bringing all of the world's assets on chain, hopefully.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think going back to our conversation earlier about just like more integrations and more infrastructure, that's something that Stacks has been working on a lot lately, especially for larger institutions, just big holders of Bitcoin, right? They don't just have like a single sig wallet; they have like all these very complex MPC setups and multi sig and everything like that. And it's very important that you need to be able to accommodate all of that, all of those types of setups. Um, Stacks just recently announced also a partnership with Wallet Connect. So Wallet Connect now integrates with Stacks, which is huge. Hex Trust is already signed on as one of the users that's going to be bringing Stacks to their users, which is very exciting. But ultimately, they need to be able to bring into DeFi, Bitcoin DeFi, in a way that makes sense for their wallet setups and their very complex legal and all of that stuff. So accommodating for that is really important. But also just going back to like the Bitcoin treasury piece, all these Bitcoin treasury companies are in sometimes taking out debt to buy more Bitcoin. And if you're taking out debt, you need to be able to pay off that debt,
Yeah.
right? So it's finding ways of earning a yield on your Bitcoin that is also from a Bitcoin treasury company or from an institution standpoint viewed as safe enough for them to do that and make those trade-offs. So those are really important considerations that we're thinking about a lot.
Awesome.
Well, Beefy is a DeFi protocol. That's a bit obvious. But that means that in order to use the protocol, you don't need any kind of KYC or identity check, right? And that means that most of the times we don't really know who is using our protocol. It can be like some person doing it with their own funds, or it can be a millionaire, or it can be just like an institution, right? What we do know, and all of this is based on blockchain data, is that 80% of our users deposit $1,000 or less. So from that information, we can assume that we have a lot of retail users. We do know that we have some big institutions using the protocol, but that is not because we are tracking them. It's because they come into our Discord server and they give us feedback. They present themselves to us. And also, one thing that they mention a lot is that they found the user dashboard really useful because institutions really need very in-depth tracking of everything that is happening with their deposits,
Hmm.
and the Beefy application provides that in a quite nice way. So yeah, I wanna end up by saying that we respect a lot the privacy of everyone that uses Beefy.
Hmm.
So we don't do any kind of tracking. We don't know who they are, where they are coming from. Yeah.
Awesome.
Uh, it's again, I'll repeat myself. Like for us, every user is same. We have to give them the same quality of data.
Yeah.
Either it's a crypto guy or or institution. So we like our leadership tells that we are like a Spotify.
Mhm.
Like you don't have, if you want to listen music, you don't go like I want to listen to XYZ artist, and you don't have to subscribe many artists separately. You go to Spotify, you get everything. We are like that. So you don't have to, you want in prices of Japan, index funds, or Hong Kong, you don't have to go and find that. So for institutions, if they need data to you work on blockchain, they can rely on us. So that's
Awesome.
simple.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have 2 questions left. We're gonna bring you home in a nice, powerful way. Our next question is gonna be about, obviously, all of your teams are high-powered shippers and engineering teams. What's one feature or product that you've recently shipped that you're most excited about, or is soon to ship that you can get people excited about, our viewers?
We used to, we had a Solana fork back in 5 years back because Solana was the fastest at that time,
Mm-hmm.
400 milliseconds. We were aggregating all data on that. Slot time, 400 millisecond. That was our bottleneck. Now we can give data real time, 1 millisecond and real time, like 20. We have windows. So that is a big feature. And you can get all the data real time, anytime, on any chain. So if you guys were here before this, our company director gave a presentation, the price of everything everywhere. Cliche, but it works.
Awesome.
Well, for us, we are currently working on Uni before CLM, and this is because the DeFi landscape is constantly changing. The way to earn yield is constantly changing.
Hmm.
So, in order for Bifi to stay relevant, we need to follow these trends and adapt to whatever is happening. Recently, I think it was last year that we released the CLM, so the concentrated liquidity manager for UniV3, and now we are working on the UniV4 version of it. So it's just like constantly like chasing the carrot, let's say, to stay relevant in the DeFi landscape.
Awesome. I feel like you guys have been really great at that. So more to come.
I think I've already touched on a couple of things that I'm most excited about, but just to talk a little bit more about dual stacking, the ability to like earn a yield on your Bitcoin, super powerful. If you bring Bitcoin into Stacks, you immediately you can enroll. Your Bitcoin stays liquid as well, so you're not having to lock it up or anything, and you're earning Bitcoin, so you're not earning like an altcoin or points or anything like that. It's aligned incentives if you're a Bitcoiner. If you take that Bitcoin, because like I said, it's liquid, and you go and deploy it in DeFi on Stacks, you can multiply that yield up to like 10 times. So there's a lot of incentives to use your Bitcoin on Stacks to make it more productive. Like I said, we announced this morning Circle through their X Reserve product, USDCX coming to Stacks. So we're very excited for that. That's coming later on this year. And we also are working with Wormhole as well to bring SBTC to Wormhole. So there's tons of stuff happening on Stacks right now.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So I'll try and go super fast because I know we're almost at time, but we've shifted our focus where we feel like horizontal scaling for Avalanche has been not relatively feature complete, but like almost there in terms of permissionless L1s, interoperability, etc. So we've transitioned now into focusing once again on like monolithic scaling and primarily the C chain. So that includes cheaper gas, shorter block times, etc. So
Awesome. Looks like all of you are pushing forward in a powerful way. 2026 is going to be a massive year for the industry. Everyone can sort of feel it in different ways. DeFi specifically is maturing really quick. Hot takes from each person, short and sweet, to end us off.
You start.
Okay, we're going the other way.
RWA market cap in DeFi will flip crypto native assets within DeFi in terms of TVL.
Wow.
I don't know if it's necessarily a hot take, but just like a saying that I've been thinking about a lot because we're sort of in like this like doldrum period where like people are a little bit bearish. Is during bear markets, the biggest thing you have to do is just survive, right? And I think we're in a good spot, but it'll be interesting to see, I guess, what happens over the coming year or so on other chains.
Cool. Just to be short, my hot take is that if you're building a stablecoin that is depositing on another stablecoin, you should call it leverage and don't try to name it something else because that's what it is.
Awesome. Yeah. Be careful.
Improve your user experience before getting validated from institutions.
Awesome. All right, everybody. That was our DeFi Stack panel. Thank you, Pith, Beefy, Stacks, and Avalabs. We love you guys, and thanks for pushing and moving our industry forward. We appreciate you. Hope the audience enjoyed. Bye-bye.